Well, it's about 9 a.m. on June 10th, 2007. I'm in Ali, Iraq, formerly misnamed Talil. I guess Talil means bluff or plains or something like that. And when we came in and named it, the Iraqis were confused. They wanted to know why we named this base Bluff or Plain, because that's what Talil stands for. Well, pure and simple, it was what was on the map, and I guess what the map meant to say was that it was a plain, which is what we are sitting in. There's a lot of open area all around us, and that is also a very good thing for us, because it means that the insurgents and malcontents can only lob rockets. They can't get mortars here. What we're looking at is the post office. Everything in this base is very centrally located. Our Ali base, Air Force Base, is surrounded by Camp Adder. We're looking towards the laundry, and then if we go down this way, that's the chow hall. And I'm hoping and praying that I do not gain weight while I'm here. And of course, the chapel is still named the Talil Chapel. Anyway, more to follow. We're going to go take a look at the ziggurat. I'm hoping to get on a tour here later on in my TDY. And as you can see, this is an up-armored fuel truck. Convoys pass through here pretty well. It's a regular place, because this is not quite halfway on the way from here to Baghdad. Oh, what have we here? That, my friends, is what is called the ziggurat. They give tours. I just spoke with a woman who said although she wore her IBA and Kevlar helmet and it was 118 degrees, she braved it, and she said it was incredible. She said because it's, you know, this is still a wild and woolly environment, it hasn't been overrun by the touristy vendor type of situations that you'll find virtually everywhere else in the world.
Okay guys, my name's Chaplain Morgan Batt. You can tell by my accent I'm an Australian. The chaplains are basically being given custodianship of bringing tours out here to meet the curator Dave. Dave is a very gracious man. His grandfather was curator here, the very first digs in 22. His father, and now he, maybe his son, will be also curator here. Dave knows a lot about this place. Please ask him any questions you like, and he knows so much about this place and will answer anything, or he'll make it up, one or the other, okay? He's a good fellow, so thanks, Dave.
Thank you, sir, thank you. Yeah, yes, my name is Dave, and exactly I learned the language from the dictionary, so of weakness in grammar or weakness in pronunciation of some of the words, because I can speak 5 languages, but just from the dictionaries. this country called Iraq, but also another name, especially in the historical books, called another name, Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia, it means the land between two rivers, Euphrates and Tigris rivers. Euphrates and Tigris meeting together to the south of this city near Basra. They called that city Gurne, and they thought their garden of Eden and also their big tree, they called it Adam tree. The name of this ancient site, Ur, 2 letters, U-R, and in the Bible they call it another name, Ur of the Chaldeans. Ur in that time, capital of the Sumerian. The civilizations in Iraq, Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian. So this is the capital of the Sumerian. Sumerian started here before 4,000 years BC. Ur in that time as the capital of the Sumerian. But Sumerian here, 3 periods. First period called Al-Ubaid. Al-Ubaid period, 4,000 years BC. Second period called Jamdat Nasr, period 2,900 years BC. And third period called the beginning of the dynasties, 2,800, 2,400 years BC. But Sumerian civilization important because the oldest civilization, and Sumerian putting the basis of many things in the world, like the beginning of the writing. The first letters of the writing in the world started during the time of the Sumerian, and the kind of that writing called iconographic writing. The beginning of the writing like pictures. After that developed it and called it cuneiform. After that 50 years came another writing in Egypt called hieroglyphic writing. In this city also started the invention of the wheel. First wheel started here, but not like wheel now. Now the technology reached for the top. But first wheel, simple wheel, that wheel from mud. They used that wheel in the beginning, toys for children. After that they used cylinder wood and then wooden wheel to the carriage. These 3 stages, wheel from mud, cylinder wood, wooden wheel started here. But especially the cylinder wood and wooden wheel, the excavators, they thought that the invention of the wheel. Like in this picture, on the top they used cylinder wood, and in the bottom they used wooden wheel to the carriage. So this is simple idea, but the excavators, they thought that is the invention of the wheel. Another thing also in this city started first law. That person, the name of that person who put in the first law in history called Ur-Nammu, before Hammurabi. But Hammurabi, that Babylonian king, he became more famous than Ur-Nammu, because Hammurabi, he collected his laws in obelisk and increased the laws. But before Hammurabi, Ur-Nammu, who wrote the first law, which contained 31 legal paragraphs. And the reason now this city called Ur, because that man who put in the first law called Ur-Nammu. In addition to that, also in this place, home of Prophet Abraham. Prophet Abraham, recognized by Christians, Muslims, and Jewish and another religions as father of the prophets. It means father of the religions. The name of this building called Ziggurat of Ur. Another ziggurat in Iraq, ziggurat in Baghdad, in Agarguf, ziggurat in Babylon, ziggurat in Erido, but this is the complete ziggurat in Iraq. All ziggurats in that time for worship, temples. This building also in that time, temple of the moon god. The name of the god in that time called Sin or Nana or Nanar. If we translated these words from Sumerian language to the English, it means the moon god. The height of this building in that time, 26 meters. Now 17 meters, 25 centimeters. So some of the third level fall down, temple in that time on the top, also fall down, and arch at the end of the middle stair fall down through the years. Always the sun and the storms affected on the tops, and the water, the moisture affected in the foundations. This building contains from 3 levels. First level from the base, the length 62 meters and half, and the width 43 meters, and the height 11 meters. Second level, the length 36 meters and the width 26 meters. Third level, the length 20 meters, the width 11 meters, and the height of the temple on the top, which now fall down, the height of that temple 5 meters, 55 centimeters. In the years exactly, we don't know how many years to build this building. The excavators, they not found original writing indicated how many years to build this building. But the excavators found original writing. That writing indicated that this building built during time of two kings, King Ornamo and King Shulgi. King Ornamo 17 years, the king of this site for 17 years, 2113, 2096 years BC. And Shulgi became the king of the city for a long time, 47 years, 2095, 2048 years BC. But maybe not all the time of King Ornamo, maybe not all the time of King Shulgi. So in the years exactly, we don't know how many years, but built during time of two kings. In the Ziggurat, many small holes around all the Ziggurat. Three benefits for these small holes. This building solid. Inside, not jumpers, not rooms, not entrance, solid. Inside from mud, outside from bricks. So when it was raining, some of the water of the rain enter inside the wall. So the drops of the rain go out from these holes, drainage. Second benefit, the wind enter inside the wall, and this helps the wall to become dry easily, and in order the moisture not affected in the wall. Third benefit, in that time the material between the bricks tar. So they put in these holes joints for expansion. Like now they left joints in the railway line in the big building for expansion. This is imaginary picture to this building. Ziggurat in that time like in this picture. So now temple on the top full down, and most of the third level full down, and arch in the end of the middle stair also full down. So this is the Ziggurat in that time like this. Now the temple on the top, that temple full down, and most of the third level full down, and arch in the end of the middle stair also full down through the years. Another buildings. In the front of that car, this building in the beginning they used storage, and later they changed it, they used a temple called Nen Mach. This building also temple. The name of this temple Idub Lalmach, and the meaning of Idub Lalmach, the great platform. This temple built during 3rd dynasty, 2113 years BC. Some parts rebuilt later, 605 years BC, during a New Babylonian time. And we can see in this building the oldest now standing archway. On the right hand of this building, foundations there. When we return back from home of Prophet Abraham, you can see that foundations. Temple called Gikparko. The time of that temple, 2047 years BC. And the excavator found things for different times in one place, in one level. And this is the reason the excavators, they thought that is the beginning of the personal museums. Because another building, they found objects for different times, for different kings. Except in that building, they found things for different times, for different kings, in one level, in one room. Behind this building, square building there, that building in that time, the center of the city, Royal Palace. Behind Royal Palace, royal tombs. Royal tombs under the ground. Tomb of King Shulgi, the deep 5 meters, 55 centimeters. The length 10 meters, 70 centimeters. The width 4 meters. Beside tomb of King Shulgi, tomb the servant and the guards of the king. The deep also 5 meters, 55 centimeters, but the length 7 meters, 70 centimeters, and the width 4 meters, 15 centimeters. Behind that royal tomb, another royal tomb, tomb of King Amarsen. Near that tomb, you can see the original writing there, still to this time, on the bricks. The kind of that writing, cuneiform. That writing is speaking about the achievements of the kings in that time. The excavators also found tomb of a queen. Just one queen in that time in this city. The name of the queen Shabad. Another name Puapi. But the tomb of her fell down because the material of that royal tomb from mud. So when they excavated that tomb, after some years fell down. But this is imaginary picture to Queen Shabad. The excavators found a statue to the queen, and this is imaginary picture to Queen Shabad or Puapi from 1st dynasty, 2450 years BC.
EOD.
In the tomb of her, they found a musical instrument, golden harp. The height of the golden harp, 1 meter, 20 centimeters. Golden harp now in Iraq in Baghdad Museum. But a statue of a Queen Shabad in a British Museum. About 96% of the object which they found it here in Iraq Museum. But about 4% in a British Museum because there is agreement between Iraq and the British government in 1922 to putting some of that object there. the truth they're better because they not hidden that object, they put it in the museum. And they wrote on that object that from Iraq, from Ur, the date when they found, and they're better because they protect it and many tourists see that object. So this is a good media for this site there. Silver boat, golden vases. Silver boat, small boat, not for working with king called Miskalamdug. Miskalamdug, also the tomb of him, fall down because the material of that royal tomb from mud, and when they excavated that tomb after some years, fall down. This city in that time had two flags. On the top, flag Ur in the war. In the bottom, flag Ur in the peace. But the picture is very small, so but I saved you this picture. Ur in the war, animal pulling carriage. Another picture, the animal walking. Another picture, the animal running. And enemies under the carriage. Man behind the carriage and carrying weapon, spear. This means that there is carriage in that time in the war like a chariot. And another thing also, this flag discovered that the Sumerians, they want to make movement to the pictures. Like animation, picture beside picture, the animal stopped walking, running. Or in the piece, they prepare to make picnic and then sitting on the chairs and drinking something. That thing we don't, some they thought beer, some they thought something to make them dancing. In the end of the city, home of Prophet Abraham, as they indicated in the holy books, especially in the Bible, they indicated more than another holy book that Prophet Abraham here. And the journey of Prophet Abraham is recorded in Genesis chapter 11, verse 31 through to chapter 14, verse 16. So if you want more information about journey of Prophet Abraham in the Bible, and Prophet Abraham from this city immigrated to the land of Canaan, to Haran, to Egypt, and in the end he died in Hebron. His age when he died, 175 years. But father of Prophet Abraham, Tarih, died in Haran, and his age when he died, 205 years. So in that time they still for many years, and exactly we don't know why the age of them is still for a long time. The total area of Ur in that time, the length of the city between 4 to 5 kilometers. The width between 1 kilometer and half, 2 kilometers. This city in that time surrounded by two walls around the city. Euphrates River in that time near the city about 2 kilometers, and then the water shifted about 15 kilometers. If the weather very clear, we can see the electric plant of Nasriya from here, 2 towers, but now the weather not clear, but that electric station now in the center of Euphrates River. This electric station now work on the water of Euphrates River, but in that time Euphrates River about near the trees. The beginning of the excavation in this city, 1850. William Lawes. Second excavator, Englishman called Tyler, 1852. Third excavator called Campbell Thompson, 1918-1919. But the beginning of the scientific excavations started here for 12 years, 1922-1934. That excavators from British and from America, who responsible of from British called Sir Leonard Woolley. That excavation is from 1922-1934, and with them also Iraqi excavators. And my grandfather, one of the members of that excavations between 1922-1934. That is the beginning of the scientific excavations, because before that, all the excavators, they made pit here and pit there. But that excavation, they excavated home of Prophet Abraham, royal tombs, and they found the golden harp, golden helmet, and also they made this city famous because they printed some books about this side. One of that books called Ziggurat and its Surroundings, Volume 5. Another book called Willy Excavations at Ur, and another books. Now also another new books printed, one of that books called Treasures from Royal Tombs of Ur, and this book famous in the United States, many in it. In 1961, 1960, Iraqi excavator called Dr. Taha Bakar. Now also there is a new plan to putting fence around all the site, to putting ceiling on the royal tombs, to rebuild some of the walls and then to excavate it. And they discussed this subject before some months, and they said Iraqi excavators, but the money to them from UNESCO, from United Nations. Them excavated just some parts. So under us here not excavated. Here foundations of temples or houses. From here to the tree not excavated. And behind this building about 1 mile also not excavated. And in this direction about also 1 mile not excavated. So most of the city now under the ground not excavated. All the excavators, they excavated just some parts, and that part which excavated also they not reach to the real land. They excavated just the top. Temple called Idublalmach. The time of this temple 2113 years BC. Some parts rebuilt later 605 years BC during a New Babylonian time. And this is the oldest now standing archway. This arch, a small arch, but to this time they not found arch older than this arch. Some of the books printed that the first arch in Roman. This is correct, the first arch in Roman. But when they excavated later here, they found this kind of arch older. So sometimes they discover that things that is the oldest, but after some years excavated in another places and they found buildings older than that. But to this time they not found arch older than this arch. The arch original, but under the arch rebuilt. So when rebuilt later they putting cement between the bricks. But in that time the material between the bricks tar and sometimes mud. In that time not refinery of oil, but they use natural tar. And they bring that tar from another city, in the name of that city called Heat, to the west of Baghdad. In that city they found natural tar. The Ziggurat, another name called Al-Mugayyar. Maybe in some pictures they wrote it Al-Mugayyar. Al-Mugayyar, gear in Arabic it means tar in English. So Al-Mugayyar it means built by tar. Just one brick rebuilt. Only this brick rebuilt. So when rebuilt they putting cement. But from here to here original. So in that time the material tar and sometimes mud. Sometimes they left some bricks in the front original, like these 3 bricks original. The excavator changed only the bricks which erosion affected in it. And always erosion affected on the tops of the buildings and the first brick from out, because inside, in that time, sealing and protect the wall inside. Inside, anything's original, except the layer of cement on the top new. That layer put in 1922 by Sir Leonard Woolley to stop the erosion. The excavator found idols in this room and taking the idols to the museums. If we look into this door, on the top, on the left hand, in the end 3 bricks curve. This means that also arch in that time here, and that arch fall down and still only the base of the arch. This door, the excavators found it like this, but most of the excavators they thought arch in that time here, but this arch fall down before another arches because the door wide, and this is the reason to fall down easily before small arches. Square building, each side 55 meters, and only one main entrance, only that main entrance. This building many names. One of that names called Horsak. Horsak, it means the house of mountain. Another name, Shulgi Palace. Another name, Ornamu Shulgi Palace. But this building they use it Royal Palace. But these names called Ornamu Shulgi Palace because Ornamu who putting the foundation of this building, and Shulgi he complete the building. And sometimes they call it just Shulgi Palace because most of the building built during time of King Shulgi, and Ornamu just the foundations. So this building Royal Palace. Sir Leonard Woolley, that famous excavator who excavated in this building in 1922, he found on the left hand of the entrance, he found a statue of King Ornamu carrying ball on his head. This means that this king, he carrying tar or mud on his head. This means that this king, he participated with the workers to encourage the workers to build the royal palace in that time. Some asking me how many hours you worked with them. Maybe just 1 minute. Maybe he just putting on his head. Yes. If we look into this wall and to this wall, different in the colors of the bricks, different in the kind of the tar. In this wall, more quantities of tar between the bricks. This wall rebuilt later, 1961, And when rebuilt, they putting tar from refinery of oil, and this wall original bricks and tar. So the kind of tar in that time, natural. The excavators, they thought that here bathroom, because the level of this room higher than other rooms, and the excavators found pit for the water here. Now the pit covered by sand. Not only this pit covered by sand. Before excavation, all these buildings covered by sand. Except the ziggurat, not all the ziggurat covered by sand, because the height of it more than another building. That sand came through the years. When they abandoned the city, if each year cover half centimeter, another year half centimeter, so thousands years, they found all these buildings covered by sand. This white stone door hinge, door in that time like this, wooden door. So they're putting the base of the door here to make the movement of the door easily when they opened and closed the door. This place excavated in 1922 by excavator called Sir Leonardo. That man, he found more than 2,000 tombs. That tombs of common people. So here's cemetery of regular. This city in that time surrounded by two walls around the city. One of that walls called Igish Shirgal. Igish Shirgal, it means sacred wall. Sacred wall around the temples, royal palace, royal tombs. And they're part of the sacred wall. Another part under the ground, not excavated. Second wall, big wall, one of the excavators, he found some parts of that wall during excavation in 1922 near the trees. That wall, big wall around all the city. The length of that wall, 5 kilometers, and the width 2 kilometers. This is the map of the city and the two walls. Here direction north, Ziggurat, the highest building in the city. Another temples, royal palace in the ground behind us, royal tombs there. This wall, sacred wall. Yeah, this wall, sacred wall. And here the second wall, the big wall around all the city. That wall around all the side. And here home of Prophet Abraham. Home of Prophet Abraham between the two walls. But the two walls not at the same time. Sacred wall older than the big wall. Sacred wall 2113 years BC. And second wall, the big wall later during the New Babylonian time, 605 years BC. And the end of the city 500 years BC. After 500 years BC, they abandoned the city, not anyone left because not water, because the water of Euphrates River receded back to the main canal. We're going there to the royal tombs. Here tomb of King Shulgi. The deep of this tomb 5 meters, 55 centimeters. The length 10 meters, 70 centimeters. The width 4 meters. And the excavator found skeletons. In Iraq in that time they not mummified the bodies, so they found bones. With the bones tablet, the name of the King Shulgi, always they found that tablet under the skull of the king. The name of him. They found with him weapon, golden dagger, and also they put in food, drinks, and some of the servants and the guards with him. Another side, the rest of the servants and guards of King Shulgi. In that time when the king died, they put in the servants and the guards alive. And another story said when the king died, the servant and the guards drinking poison. This is still for the end of their dynasty. After that they changed that way and they put in the king alone. With the king, but not in whole. The bones of the servant and the guards above the ground near the door. This means that they put in the servant and the guards alive, and in the end they want to go out, but they found the door closed and died near the entrance. This wood later, a new put in by Sir Leonard Woolley 1922 to support the ceiling. In this tomb, the excavator found writing on tablets and taken to the museum. But when we go into another royal tomb, about 5 minutes from here, you can see the original writing there, still to this time on the bricks. These holes joins for expansion, because the material between the bricks tar, so they put in these hole joints for expansion. Some of the bricks, the color of it white. This is salt, especially the land of south of Iraq, salty. And this is the moisture affected in some of the bricks. So here, tomb of King Shulgi and some of the servants and the guards with him.
So this farther, this is just, where'd they find him? Where'd they find the king?
They found the king in hall there. But these platforms, the excavators, they thought the servant and the guards, in the beginning, they sitting there. Always the servant and the guards behind the king. So the king here buried in hall, but they thought they put in the servants and the guards here. But when they still maybe some hours, one day, they want to go out because the king. So they left that platforms and came near the door. Here the rest of the servant and the guards of King Shulgi.
Oh man.
Some of them with the king, another here. The number of servant and guards of King Shulgi between that tomb and this tomb, 70. 70.
Holy, how many in this room you figure?
Between two tombs.
Right.
Maybe they're 35, they're 35, maybe they're more than that. Between two tombs, 70.
You say they poisoned the people that are in here?
Yes, one of the stories said drinking poison, another said putting them alive and putting with them food and drinks, and when they still for them, they died. But most of them, they thought that they drink poison. The servants and the guards drinking poison.
Okay.
So this is the hole to the end of the thick of the wall. About the thick of this wall, about 3 meters.
3 meters
Yes,
thick.
so
Wow.
yes. This from the beginning under the ground.
Whoa.
Yes. But some of the buildings later came under the ground, covered by sand later. But
Yes.
this is from the beginning under the ground.
Wow. And they only put one.
One wood because the length of it not like that. That's bigger, so they're putting more wood to support the ceiling. Here small, so they're putting just wood in the front because short. Yes. The fingerprint of the worker who made the bricks. They want from the worker who made the bricks to putting his fingers like signature in order to know that person who made the bricks, and in order to punish him if that brick's not a good kind. So this is like signature.
So how old are those fingerprints?
This is with this tomb. This tomb, they not indicated the time when he died, but they indicated to the time when he came king. He came king during 2095, 2048 years BC.
BC.
Yes.
Wow.
So maybe after that time, 10 years, 20 years died. This is the time when he came king. 2095, 2048 years BC. Means 47 years. In the ground, many shards of pottery everywhere, because different using for this material in that time. Cabs from this material in that time, jars from this material, tombs of children, drainage. Sometimes they putting shard of pottery in the wall, like this wall. From here to the bottom, this wall from bricks and tar. From here and up, this wall from mud. But with the mud, they putting citro, pieces of brick, shard of pottery. They thought the wall became stronger. So this is the reason many shards of pottery everywhere, because different using for this material in that time. And they call the civilization in era civilization of mud, because most of the things in that time from mud. The paper of them from mud, tablet also from mud, the jars, the cups, many things, the tombs of children, many things, drainage, most of the things in that time from mud. Tomb of common person. Some of the tombs of common like this. So a big difference between tomb of the king and tomb of common, this tomb of common. So some of the tombs like this, another tombs, sometimes they found bones in the jar, especially baby, when his age, some days and die, they put him in the jar. Another tombs, just holes under the ground, especially the poor, just in the sand. But all the kinds of the tombs of common, they found also with them food and drinks, not only with the king. With the common also, they putting with them food and drinks. But the king with him, servant and guards, and the common person alone. This tomb of common person. Tomb of common person.
And no box. Sometimes if they were poor.
Sometimes they put him in box. Sometimes they lay him on his bag like that. Some they buried them like this. They found the legs of them near the head. So different kinds of the tombs. But most of them, they laid them on the back.
Ah.
The kind of this writing freeform. This one here. Another writing here.
Aha.
At that time they rolled cylinder seals on the mud when moisture in the mud. So the writing copy from cylinder seal on the mud and then putting it in the fire. So the writing became like a stone.
And what is this writing telling us, Dave?
The achievements of King Amarsen.
Aha.
Like King Amarsen rebuilt the Ziggurat after Urnamo and Shulgi. King Amarsen built Geek-Parko temple. So the achievements of King Amarsen. And the reason this writing speaking about King Amarsen, because beside us tomb of King Amarsen. On the left hand of this entrance tomb of King Amarsen.
Okay.
On the right, the servant and the guard of King Amarsen. Amarsen, Sumerian king, the grandson of King Urnamo, son of King Shulgi, third king in the third dynasty, and Amarsen, he came the king of the city for 8 years. 2047, 2000 homes, they found that buildings older than time of Prophet Abraham. When excavated here, they found this home the same time of Prophet Abraham. Another thing, Sir Leonard Woolley, when he excavated in this home, he found original writing in one of the entrances. That writing said, Abramo Tarah. Abramo, the same name, Abramo, Abram, Ibrahim, Abraham. Now in Arabic they call him Ibrahim, in English called Abraham, Italian called him Abram. Same name, but different in the writing. So this reason they thought this home to him, not another home. But Abraham in the city, but the difference in the home is this or another. Abraham here because the Holy Book says that that's not Abraham in this. This is not well. Another ancient cities in Iraq, they found wells in it, but in this city they not found well because Euphrates River in that time near this city and taking the water directly from Euphrates River. But here drainage. Here courtyard. Here open, not roof. So when it was running, the water of the rain fall down and then the water seep in the ground through the small holes. If you're looking in the drainage, especially in this side, many small holes by the fingers. They put in these small holes, but in order the water of the rain seep in the ground through that small holes. Around the drainage here, hollow, because they're putting pieces of bricks and shards of pottery. The courtyards open, not roof, but the roof of the rooms around the courtyards, the roof of that rooms from wood, reeds and mud. In the rooms, the excavators not found windows. This means that in that time they depend on the courtyard to taking the light and ventilation to the rooms through the doors. This house one level, and the excavators they thought that 2 rooms on the second level. How we know that 2 rooms on the second level? Because that 2 rooms fall down before many years ago, because on the second level. But one of the excavators called Sir Leonard Woolley, who excavated in this city in 1922, he found original drawing for this house on a big brick, and they drawing the house 1 level, 2 rooms on the second level. But when the house rebuilt later, they not rebuilt the 2 rooms. In the corner, shelves. Some of the excavators they thought kitchen, another they thought library. But most of the excavators they thought kitchen. They thought that here unit surfaces, because here drainage, and they thought their bathroom. Behind this door, on the left hand, 2 small rooms. The excavators they thought that these 2 small rooms bathroom.
A lot of stuff that we're walking on.
But the difference between this building and that buildings, all that buildings, the excavators found things for one time, one king. Except in this big courtyard, the excavator found things for different kings. And this is the reason they thought that is the beginning of the personal museums. the name of that person who collected things before him and putting it in one place called Nabu Na'id. And Nabu Na'id, not common person. Nabu Na'id, Babylonian king. That king, he collected some things before him and putting it in one place. The biggest building in this city in that time, Ziggurat and this building. Ziggurat, the highest building in this city. But this is the biggest building in this city. This building started from that foundation to the Ziggurat. All these foundations to this building. But the excavator rebuilt this part left, and another part's not rebuilt. So all these foundations to this building.
Well, it's not quite the Great Wall of China, but it is much steeper for a continued amount of time, I guess. Who the hell are you?
Hi, I'm Patrick Leonini, airfield manager extraordinaire.
How many times you been to Ali, Iraq?
This is my second tour here.
Okay.
3 months the first time, well 3.5.
When was that?
When we first came to Iraq in 03, April.
Okay.
March, April.
How many times did you come out to the Ziggurat then?
About 30.
Okay, and that's when you met Dave, our tour guide?
Yes. That's when I
Okay.
met him.
Great. And, so what keeps drawing you back to here?
Well, my interest is archaeology, so I plan on doing my dissertation on this.
Okay.
So the more I come out here, the more information I can gather for when I write my dissertation.
Okay, so you haven't started it yet?
No,
Okay.
because I have to collect enough information to start it first.
Okay, so when do you think you will start it?
Probably sometime next summer.
Okay, now you're going on film here, so I'm gonna slam you with this if you don't start it next summer.
Well, I already started it technically, if you ask.
Okay, all right.
So,
So tell me some of the interesting things that you found.
well, over here we have found many interesting things. I mean, just from walking around, you can find thousands and millions of pieces of pottery. A lot of it was made as filler of the buildings, and some of it was just pottery that was wrecked during the excavations of the 20s and 30s. We found intact pieces, intact urns. Last time we were here, that we gave to the curator before we left.
Okay, good. And so what we've been traipsing about besides the Ziggurat is the ancient city of Ur, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and so the homes,
Fan here.
yeah, most of the homes have been destroyed over time.
Well, the city was abandoned in the 6th, 7th century before Christ.
Okay,
Well, before the current era.
and it was covered by sand until what year did Dave say?
Leonard Woolley first excavated the area in 1922,
Okay.
but it had been previously discovered by an Italian archaeologist in the 1800s. But he did not have the manpower to excavate it, but he did mark the site on a map
Okay.
for Woolley to find later on.
Good deal.
If you look over in that area,
Mm-hmm.
that used to be, actually on the other side of the road, that used to be the main harbor of the city. Now I'm not sure at this point if the harbor over there was in use at the same time as the one on the western side.
Okay, and by harbor, is that like the dam, the marsh, or what the heck
No,
was
harbor, where a port.
it? Okay,
Where
of
they
what's?
brought ships in from the
Okay, so
Euphrates.
how far? Okay, the Euphrates River.
Yes,
Okay, so a harbor of the Euphrates River.
yeah.
Okay, and once again, did Saddam dam that, or was that just
No,
natural?
that, when the city was abandoned in the 6th, 7th century BC, the Euphrates River has shifted from flowing this way, came around this way,
Uh-huh.
and then going that way, and shifted to flowing that way. The Euphrates is like 7 miles that way now.
Ah.
So when the Euphrates shifted, the land died and the water ran out and the people moved.
Left.
Well, as you can see here, we're on the top level, or I mean not the top of the first level.
Top of the
This
Ziggurat.
is
The
top
first
of the first level of the
of the
Ziggurat.
Ziggurat. Okay.
That would have been the second level right there.
All right, and then after that, there was even yet another level.
There's a third level, and on top of that, a temple. But the temple, the third level, there's most of it's still up there, but as a ruin. The second level, as you can see, is pretty intact on this side.
Erosion causes damage.
The reason the top is less preserved than the bottom is because right when Woolley found the temple, it was sand, pretty much covered almost halfway up the side
Wow. Sand was almost covered halfway up the side of this thing.
Yeah, so preserve the bug.
Oh, I'm getting dizzy.
Here's a better view. You can see the remains of the western harbor over there.
Okay, where?
If you look at this kind of mound here, all this would have been the limits of the citadel. And the further mound out there, you can see there's kind of a line. That would have been the outer walls, the outer perimeter, ran that way. And if you can see up there, it kind of goes in. That would have been a harbor.
Wow.
And
all that was part of the Euphrates River.
And the Euphrates River swung around like this, and it went out north.
Wow. Natural, this is tar from thousands of years ago. This is not rebuilt, or
No.
this is from thousands of...
Yeah, if it has the dirt in it, it is. Then this, yeah, most of this is original, not all of it though. If it doesn't have the straw, it's not. Because they use black tar just to cover it up, to preserve it.
Yeah.
As you can see, it wouldn't have had tar. They threw the tar on top to cover it, the archaeologists, and but this would have been the floor.
Wow.
Bricks. And over here you get just a view of the city. All this is the citadel. In fact, behind the tombs there, those walls on the other side of the little pit over there, those were the outer walls of the citadels, the inner walls of the city, pretty much. And beyond, because the citadel was where the royal palace was, the temples, you know, all the major buildings. Then outside of the citadel was all the citizens who lived, merchants, regular peasants and stuff.
What was the population back then?
It's kind of difficult to say. Said its height, Ur may have had about 30,000 people.
Okay.
Big by ancient standards.
Oh yeah,
Huge
heck yeah.
by ancient standards.
Bustling metropolis. And especially for the area that it encompassed.
Well, Ur at one point ruled all of southern Mesopotamia. Okay, this is the top layer, the third layer of the ziggurat. You can see it's about 10, 15 feet above the second layer. And on top of this would have been the temple. And the temple would have been the only part of the whole structure that actually had an interior. Because the rest of this is all dirt. It's filled with dirt. There's no chambers, nothing in there. No, it's not like the Egyptian pyramids.
Let me do a quick pan around. What is this little thing right here? What's that?
That's a marker from the archaeologist.
Oh, the archaeologist marker. Okay. Coolness.